Our next speaker is Hopewell Shinono, an award-winning Zimbabwean journalist and filmmaker who has worked with the BBC, ITV News, and the New York Times. In 2008, Shinono won CNN's African Journalist of the Year Award. He joined Harvard University as a Nieman Fellow the following year. In 2020, Shinono published an expose alleging corruption in the administration of President Emerson Mnangagwa. His reporting forced the government to fire the health minister, but also resulted in his own arrest on baseless charges. Shinono was released on bail in September 2020, but rearrested in November, accused of contempt of court for exposing further corruption in Zimbabwe's judicial system. In January 2021, last year, Shinono was arrested for the third time in 6 months on charges of, quote, communicating falsehoods that aimed to silence him. The law that was used by police to arrest him was later found to no longer exist. It's an honor that you've come here from Zimbabwe to speak with us. Hopewell Shinono.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Madam Ambassador and everyone who's here, all protocol observed. I'm a journalist from Zimbabwe and a documentary filmmaker. An accidental activist is not something that I ever thought I would pursue. But because of my work as a journalist, I've found myself in collusion with the state, with the ruling party, with the corrupt politicians in my country. What stirred me to start focusing on these issues, ordinarily I'm a foreign correspondent, and some of the stories that I have been doing since 2018 are not the kind of stories that I would ordinarily do because they are not of interest to the foreign audiences in Europe and America whose organizations I work with. But I focused on these issues because they affected the people around me daily. So for you to get an understanding of how bad things are, right now the whole of Zimbabwe, with 15 million people, does not have a single working radiotherapy cancer machine. So if you get cancer today in Zimbabwe, you've got a death sentence, you are gone. The cost of getting health care outside the country is prohibitive, it's extremely expensive, so only the wealth are able to live, and most of them are surrogates of the ruling elites. In Zimbabwe, 2,500 women die every year giving birth. The biggest hospital in Zimbabwe has got only 2 maternity theaters. They were built in 1977 by the colonial government. Only one of those maternity theaters is working. So it got me to find out why we are so poor and yet the country is extremely wealthy. And if you want to look at the quality of life that a country has, you have to look at how it treats its own citizens, especially the vulnerable. At the time when I started these investigations, Zimbabwe, again with a population of 15 million, only had about 7 psychiatrists. We are in a terrible situation where if you speak, you get arrested and you are thrown into prison. I'm lucky that I'm known internationally. There are many people in Zimbabwe that are rotting in prison that don't have the international profile that I do have, that shouldn't be in prison. In 2020, we found ourselves, like the rest of the world, facing the pandemic, COVID-19. And there was a lot of money that was allocated, some coming from international partners, including Canada, to assist vulnerable countries because they were aware that our health delivery systems were not fit for purpose. And I found myself in a situation where I ended up investigating the looting of public funds meant for COVID-19. And so those investigations, and each time I've investigated, I find myself thrown into prison. So as my good friend Bobby Wine said to me last night when we were having dinner, that it's a great pleasure to come and meet every one of you, because it makes you realize that you're not insane. You're not alone fighting dictatorships. Thank you.
Thank you.